we understand that, one of the problems and issues is going to be having to stop Tyreek Hill, right? I mean, that's what they're talking about. And so I think they, because Tyreek comes in and he's always incensed about Kansas City. He's talking about it all the time. He wants to be back here. He does. Like you said, he didn't want to leave. I think he said something on a press conference. He didn't want to leave Kansas City.
His story changes every other week though with the whole thing. I think he went on Brandon Marshall's podcast. And he was talking about it, and like someone posted a little reel of all the different things he said about that, like that whole contract negotiation. How it's like a different story every time he retells it again. But for the most part, yeah, I don't think he wanted to leave. He didn't want to leave Patrick Mahomes. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, look, he was winning here, won a Super Bowl here, right? And people loved him for it. Yeah. Okay, people here still love him. I love Tyreek Hill for everything he shows, and he's a talent in himself, man. I'm talking about he is a game changer. He's a one-time talent that you'll see in the NFL. Okay?
He's the reason why we're never going to be. Most of our fan base is never going to be satisfied with any receivers you bring in here.
That's the reality, right? but the thing is, when I look at it, he definitely wants to be here. But so when I look at these things and I hear the fans talking about it, I'm sitting there thinking in my head, like, well, guess what? Okay, we understand y'all got Tyreek Hill because he used to be here, part of my family, right? We got him, Who has more film on Tyreek Hill than anybody else in the league? The Chiefs.
Yep.
I mean, who knows this man more than anybody else in the NFL?
Yeah.
The people that when he came here and cut his teeth off, got drafted. The Chiefs. We know what his strengths are, his weaknesses are. We understand all of that. We got the most film of Tyreek Hill in the NFL than anybody else.
Yeah.
Okay. When it gets him in practice, ate food with him, had drinks, laughs, cries, all those different things together, man. We talking about as family. Okay.
Yep.
We know Tyreek Hill. Spags and them guys are going to have a game plan to try to eliminate the things that he does. He ain't going to stop Tyreek Hill. He's just not. He's going to catch catches. He's going to do his thing because we know what you got. We know it. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Heck, we understand it because we was willing to let that talent walk.
Yep.
And let him go without paying him. So we understand that. That's why it's really no fear as far as like, things that we have to deal with. We understand what we got on the other side. Okay? We understand that. Spags and will put a good game plan together. You got a very young secondary that's very talented, okay, that plays very physical, and they're looking for a challenge like this.
Yeah.
They're looking for it. So that's going to be a great matchup for us, trying to do everything to stop Tyreek Hill. They got Waddle, Barrows. We got a good game plan that I'm sure is going to be put together in Germany against this squad. Another thing that I think that we have to do is we're going to have to blitz Tua. We're going to bring pressure. We're going to apply pressure, okay? I'm talking about we're going to put this joke in the chokehold. We coming after him. A pressure will be applied. Believe that. With this injury-prone offensive line that they got right now, putting guys in, maybe switching guys around, Chris Jones, Charles Omenihu, Karlaftis, Herring, and all the other guys, they're going to put an end to all that. I'm trying to tell you, they're going to bring all type of noise. And they're going to keep coming. They're going to come all night. And they're not going to let Tua comfortable. They ain't going to let him be comfortable. They're not. They're coming after his, I don't want to cut. See, I'm already in the mode of, but they're going to be coming after his tail. Believe that.
So, yeah, that was our next topic. What was going to be just covering that, which you touched on it beautifully. But obviously, we had Tyreek Hill for 6 years in Kansas City, and Spags was there for most of that, for 4 of the 6. He took over Sutton, and Spags has been around, right, with Tyreek Hill. So when you're seeing a guy every day for around 5 years, you develop a lot of stuff where, like, I'm sure coaches, like when you're going against when you guys are going against defenses, you're like, okay, I know how to how we can game plan away from that D end or that D tackle or that that safety. If you were kind of, and we saw many games where Tyreek Hill, when Tyreek Hill was kind of dominated with the Cincinnati his last game, the AFC Championship game. He wasn't effective that game. They did away with him pretty good in that game. Based on what we've seen, because as fans, we've watched a lot of Tyreek Hill games and games where he came up huge, games where he didn't come up huge, where the defenses were kind of taken away. What would you, if you were with Spags this week, what kind of defense are you trying to run to kind of keep the ball away from Tyreek Hill? Or, you talk about creating pressure for Tua and trying to get the ball out of his hands quickly. What kind of like coverages and stuff would you want to be able to do against Miami to specifically take away Tyreek Hill from their offense? Because you do that,
yeah,
you got a good shot of winning this game.
Well, I think you have to do a lot of like cloud coverage, cover 2, do cover 3. You can drop guys deep, right? The 2 high shell, you could kind of run some of that. I think Spags has studied, obviously, when you play other opponents, offensive coaches go into defensive coaches and say, hey, this is what they're giving us. This is the kind of the look to kind of stop us. What do you think about this? What beats this? These combination routes are things that we can do against this. And so Spags will figure those things out. Another one of those things, it's got to be the dogs and the blitzes. You got to be able to blitz. And so you're hoping he's going to get the ball out of his hands. And what you do is with Tyreek Hill, some of the time with these smaller guys, try to negate them by putting your hands on them early. Okay. You got to get your hands on him. And then you have somebody over the top, or say have somebody, catching up with him. And so that's what you have to do. You have to almost try to blanket him as much as possible. You most got to leave it on everybody else around you to beat you. So that's going to be the key. I think it's starting tight end. I think he's going to be out of the game. I think I heard he said he was walking around with a boot, so I don't know if he's going to be playing. It's their wide receivers. They got a fast offense.
Yeah.
So the thing is, get the ball in their hands quick. Like I said, with some blitzes, because those penetration and things like that. If you stop the running game, that's another thing you can't let happen.
Yeah.
Okay. They don't have the guy Archan anymore. And so you negate the running game to where they become one-dimensional. That makes things a whole lot easier. So I think there's a number of things that you could possibly do, but one is you got to be able to get physical on a smaller receiver like that. Okay, you got to get some help over top to make sure he don't outrun you. That's another thing that you got to necessarily do. Yeah. And 3, you just got to make sure that you just got to sit in the zone. You got to just be as physical as possible with a guy like that, right? So I think all those things are something that you do in the concept of what we're trying defensively, because you're talking about the blitzes. You're trying to bring guys off the corner. You're trying to do different things like that. I think once Tua gets rattled, once he gets out of the game, that changes for him. I mean, they got beat by 2 solid teams, the Bills and the Eagles. Okay. Bills decimated them. Eagles did too. They hit him in the mouth. And so this is really like the third opponent that is actually a good opponent.
Yeah.
That's going to be their best opponent. Okay. We're the Super Bowl champs, obviously. We're a better team than the Bills. I think we're a better team than the Eagles. Okay. Eagles got a lot of different dogs on their side.
Yeah.
But you best believe, okay, what our defense gives, we're going to give it to Miami. I don't have any doubt whatsoever. Because like I said, man, we're number 2 ranked passing defense. Okay. We breed a lot of pressure. Sack-wise, we're right up there too. So it's going to be a good outing for us.
Yeah, but if you look at the strength of the opponent, I mean, you kind of hit on it. The losses they had against, obviously, the Eagles and the Bills, every other team they've beaten, the Panthers, they swept the Patriots, who were a disaster this year, the Broncos, and I said Panthers.
New England?
Chargers. So, yeah, so he swept New England, Chargers, Denver, Carolina, and the Giants. So those are all their wins. And then they lost to Eagles and the Bills. So, like,
yeah, they played Chargers early, though. That was
first game, yeah. And that was a high-scoring game.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is one thing. So it gave us trouble last week, and it seems to always give us trouble when we play defenses that tend to do the dropping 8 and only rushing 3. We don't usually do that. And obviously, when the Bengals did it to us in that playoff game, Tyreek's last game, there was trouble. We couldn't get the ball to Tyreek, really. Why don't we do that more? It's kind of interesting that I don't usually see us doing the whole drop 8, rush 3.
I don't think we do it because Spags got confidence in our corners, for one. Okay, that they can run man-to-man against anybody. That we could go get the best man and win out. And so dropping 8, I still believe that you still need to get some type of pressure on guys. Obviously, it works when it's third and forever, or second forever. Yeah, definitely do that. Okay. But I think Spags just he trusts his scheme. You know, what's going to hit home, what's going to be best for us. And so sometimes if you haven't been doing a whole lot, what end up happening is you're trying to teach something new to guys if they're not well versed in it, right? And so they may get lost just in space wise what they're trying to do, because you don't want to put something, something new in. But I'm sure they have that in them. They could do the 7, they could drop 8. I mean, we do, zone blitzes all the time. Dropping that defensive end off, we can do that underneath. And so you just tell the linebackers to sing back a little bit further. Our corners, our safety is going to do an excellent job making sure you don't beat them over the top. So I like it because we got good team speed on defensive side, So I think that's the reason that you don't see this much. I don't think we're as threatened about those things as everybody else. I think it's what everybody was talking about. Oh, how come the corner's not getting help over top against Buffalo last year? Remember we talking about that?
Yep.
Spags is get the corner's legs ready to run, to open up, to work on their technique. Hey, this is what you do. If you back on the island by yourself, you need to be able to turn your hips, get the guy right in his hip pocket, and you need to run with it. When you see his eyes go up, your eyes go up. When you see him go for ball, you go for ball. Like, you got to be able to read these things. And when you learn how to do that, you learn how to swim, then we're gonna be good in deep waters when it gets there, right? And so we seen that last year. We seen when the deep waters came. Guess what? These guys, they were swimming. So it looked like what's his name, Phelps out there swimming. So yeah, man. Dude, I think they're gonna be fine. I think it's the reason Spags doesn't necessarily do those things, man. But look, we got, like I said, we got some guys up front. I'm looking for Chris. Chris is gonna have a good game. Charles is gonna have a good game. Karloff's gonna have a good game. I think just our defensive line is gonna be spectacular this week because we need for them to be.
Yeah.
And once they learn that, man, the game is one up front. And I'm telling you, like I said before, with this offensive line, I don't want to say anything crazy about them, but this offensive line, they're trying to get a guy back. I don't know if he's going to be back this game, but he's still going to have young legs, right? He's going to be fresh. He ain't going to be getting his kick step like he should be, okay? You're going to get around that. But yeah, I said, man, pressure will be applied, okay? That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, both games they lost, they had at least 3 sacks against Tua in the Buffalo Bills and the Eagles game. 3 sacks in the Eagles game, 4 sacks in the Bills game. So,
oh yeah, hey,
there you go.
Let Spags cook.
Yeah.
Let him cook. Let him cook.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.